Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my wind-up Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. I wanted to do an update to the wind-up deck. We just had the September 2023 ban list a few weeks ago. No Zenmaity off the list in sight. I guess they're still hesitant to give us the card at full power. Just being a very easy special summon engine to make use of is understandable, but I haven't made a new update to the wind-up deck in a couple years, so an update is definitely due, just with some of the newer choices we have for cards to run in the deck. The overall playstyle involves a good variety of different card effects that the wind-up monsters can do, all being soft once per turns while that card is on the field. So you either have to make use of that card in the form of a wind-up extra deck play, or somehow manage to special summon back that monster onto the field again to make use of again. Once again, Zenmaity definitely helped with this, but until we see that card off the ban list for the TCG, we'll have to make do with what we have. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. We are running 3 copies of Wind-Up Rat. During your main phase, you can target 1 Wind-Up monster in your graveyard, change this face-up attack position card to defense, and special summon that monster in face-up defense. This effect can only be used once while this card is face-up on the field. So this is where the card effects for the Wind-Up monsters come into play. They're soft once per turn, so if you, let's say, link summon away the Wind-Up Rat and can special summon it back into the field again, if it's in attack position, you can reuse the card effect again to special summon another wind-up from the graveyard. It's a definite 3 of in the deck. It's just an easy extender for your special summon plays. So even if you draw into this card and you have other wind-ups in your graveyard, you can make use of Wind-Up Rat. Also 3 copies of Wind-Up Magician. If the effect of a wind-up monster is activated except Wind-Up Magician, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower wind-up monster from your deck in face-up defense. This effect can only be used once while this card's face-up on the field. So if you have Wind-Up Magician and then you're able to summon out your Wind-Up Rat, you can use the effect of Rat to summon out another monster from your graveyard, and then the effect of Magician will also activate, giving you another special summon from your deck, giving you 2 additional monsters on the field for your resources to use. And also 3 copies of Wind-Up Shark. Being another card, you can make use of the card effect, and when a wind-up monster is normal or special summon to your side of the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. So then you can summon out your Wind-Up Magician, then activate the effect of Shark in your hand, and then use the effect of Wind-Up Shark to increase this card's level by 1, or reduce this card's level by 1, to then activate Wind-Up Magician, giving you the special summon of another monster to the field. This can give you access to Wind-Up Rat, and then if you change the level of Wind-Up Shark to a level 3, if you have the monster in the graveyard, you can go for a Link 2 play with your Magician and Shark, then use the Rat to summon back the Shark to the field, adjusting that level to then go for a rank 3 play with the Wind-Up Rat that you have on the field. For some of the lower numbers for the wind-up monsters, 2 copies of Wind-Up Kitten. I was debating going for a Sprite play, which you can make use of with Wind-Up Snail and Wind-Up Kitten being level 2 monsters. That would focus more on the Sprite plays though, so you could potentially run that combo in the deck. You would just have to take out one of the Xyz monsters and add an additional Wind-Up Snail in the deck. I can show you what one of for the wind-ups you can take out for a copy of Wind-Up Snail, and then the play really only revolves around you having the 2 level 2 monsters to overlay into, and then getting out the last level 2 monster to then either have a bounce effect of Wind-Up Kitten or the other effect of flipping a card thanks to Wind-Up Snail. It's sort of a 1-card combo play to go through with the numbers we have, but Wind-Up Kitten still being good to target 1 monster your opponent controls and return that target to the hand. So it could be another potential card you special summon off of your Wind-Up Magician if your opponent has monsters on the field that you want to get rid of. It's why we're only running 2 copies of this card, so we can have the multiple uses of it available to us with our special summons. And for the one-ofs for the wind-up monsters, 1 copy of Wind-Up Rabbit. It just has a, during either player's turn, banish and bounce effect to avoid other card effects on the field that you can make use of. Also being able to activate a wind-up effect on your opponent's turn gives us options to other cards if we have a Wind-Up Magician that can still use its card effects on the field. The Wind-Up Hunter, for being able to tribute 1 face-up wind-up monster except for Hunter to send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. This effect can only be used once while face-up on the field. Taking away 1 random card might just be enough depending on what you hit. So so it could be another target for Wind Up Magician. That's where Magician comes in handy, just knowing what to, special summon out from all the 1-ofs we run in the deck also, like the 1 copy of Wind Up Soldier, being able to increase this card's level by 1 and attack by 400, along with Wind Up Shark, gives us some rank 5 plays to go into for our extra deck, and then also the 1 copy of Wind Up Warrior, same play, just being able to target any Wind Up monster though with this one, including itself for the level 1 boost, and the 1 copy of Wind Up Knight for more of an attack negation play. If you wanted to run Wind Up Snail, I'd recommend taking out the Wind Up Knight for that spot there. And for the main deck monsters, to finish off with the hand traps, 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I want to have a good number of windups, but you still need some cards to react on your opponent's turn with, so you need those small hand trap lineups to use. That's why I'm running the Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence lineups for those hand traps of choice. For the spells, I'm running 3 copies of Wind Up Factory. Once per turn, if an effect of a wind up monster is activated, you can add 1 level 4 or lower wind up monster from your deck to your hand. Factory is just such an important continuous spell for the search and setup. It just continues your monster plays, being able to search out cards like Shark, summon out another wind-up monster, and then just extend your plays more and more with a once per turn effect. And also having Factory on the field makes Rabbit all the better as well, because it says once per turn, so including on your opponent's turn, if you resolve and activate Wind Up Rabbit, you'll get the search for Factory also. For some of the lower numbers for the spells, I also run 2 copies of XYZ Import. You target 1 Xyz monster you control and 1 monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. Attach that opponent's monster to your monster's material. You can only activate 1 XYZ Import per turn, but it's another answer to get rid of your opponent's cards while being able to equip that monster to your monster as material. So it has to have less attack equal to it, targeting the Xyz monster you control and 1 monster your opponent controls. So you want to go for some of your stronger wind up monsters. You can hit some best numbers with your cards like Wind Up Arsenals and Now, but it's still a pretty generic spell. So even if you have some other Xyz monsters that you have on the field, you can make use of XYZ Import to take your opponent's monster. And then also the 2 copies of Double Summon. I was thinking of running this at 3 just for the Field Swarm being very necessary for your windups. If you can summon out your Wind-Up Magician and then activate the effect of Double Summon just to give you that 1 additional wind-up monster on the field, depending on which one you summon out and activate the effect, you have your extended play for your Wind-Up Magician. Double Summon just extending for the additional normal summon being very vital for that play. And then also the 3 copies of Book of Eclipse. What I like about this is it does change your wind-up monsters to face down defense position, completely resetting that monster for you to reuse again, depending on the wind-up monster. It flips face up again for the end of the turn play. So then, like I said, you just have the option for your opponent's monsters for the face down defense position, draw cards for your opponent, and then on your turn being able to flip your wind-up monsters up and then reuse their card effects. I also run 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, just if you have, more and more resources that you can't use in your hand. Sometimes they'll be better set up in the graveyard, like if you have the need to use your wind-up rat, but you don't have any monsters in the graveyard, you can activate Forbidden Droplet, targeting one of your opponent's cards, discarding the wind-up monster of choice, and then also in the process of lowering your opponent's monster's attack, negating their card effect, being able to use Wind-Up Rat to bring the wind-up monster that you sent from your hand to the graveyard off of Forbidden Droplet. Also, the 2 copies of Pot of Desires. You have plenty of search power with cards like Wind-Up Factory to get the necessary wind-up cards to your hand, and multiple 3-ofs for a good variety of other ones. And there's not really a wind-up that if we hit, multiple copies of it, or at least 2 copies, we can still play the deck with at least having 1 of that available copy in your deck to use. And then we just have the draw power thanks to this card also to give us other cards to continue our plays. And then for the rest of the spells, 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army. We have the 3 different warrior targets for this spell, so just more search power there. 1 Monster Reborn, just to get more monsters to use their effects back to the field. Foolish Burial to set up cards in the graveyard for Wind-Up Rat. And lastly, the 1 Call by the Grave. Special summoning off of Magician is very important in this deck, so you don't want anything from your opponent to disrupt that card. For the traps, I run just the 3 Infinite Impermanence, as I mentioned before, along with the Ash Blossom, just the 3 of again, for the hand trap of choice to activate during your opponent's turn, since you'll control no other cards. For the extra deck monsters, I run the 1 copy of Wind-Up Zen Meister. Now, this is in here also due to the fact that we don't have Zen Matey, just different wind-up monsters to use card effects to then play into other wind-up monsters or Wind-Up Factory for additional plays. This card gains 300 attack for each Xyz material attached to it, so this could work well. Well, it has the Xyz material for your XYZ import, and then also being able to get more Xyz material will bump this card's attack up also to 2800 thanks to XYZ import if you still have its 2 material. And once per turn, being able to detach 1 Xyz material from this card to target a face-up monster you control and change it to face-down defense position as another way to just kind of reset your wind-up monsters to reuse their effects. Also, the 2 copies of Wind-Up Zen Mains, more of a defensive card. It does have a destruction play if your opponent at least is able to destroy this card, but you can protect it by just detaching 1 Xyz material from it also. And then at the end of the turn, have that destroy play also. This is also a great card just to crash with into your opponent's cards and then you make use of it for a Zeus play also. And then the 1 copy of Wind-Up Arsenal Zen Mao for more of a set destruction on the field. Also, just the 1 copy, though, I feel is all you need. And then for the rest of the Xyz monsters, 1 copy of Leviair, 1 Exciton Knight, 1 Baguska, 1 Volcasaurus, and the 1 Zeus for the more generic lineup that we can go into. For the Link monsters, the 1 copy of Wind-Up Zen Maintenance, I thought of running a second copy of this card. If you wanted to run a second copy, you can take out the next Link 2 monster that we run. Needing 2 Wind-Up monsters, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target a Wind-Up Xyz monster you control and attach it as material. You can use the following effects of Zen Maintenance once per turn. If this card is Link Summon, you can add 1 Wind-Up card from your deck to your hand. So it's just a great searcher for Wind-Up Factory, being able to make use of it. And you can banish 1 face-up Wind-Up monster you control face down to special summon 1 monster from your deck with the same card name as that card had on the field, giving you more different wind-up monsters with the same name to reuse again. So if you've used a wind-up rat on the field already, you can then banish it with Zen Maintenance to get a functional working rat to then use again thanks to this card. And then also to finish off the Link monsters, 1 Barricade Board Blocker. This is what you can put in a second copy of Zen Maintenance in if you wish. The 1 Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Apollosa to finish off the rest of the Link monsters. As for some of the go-to plays, having the perfect hand combo for the wind-up deck, I would say is the most vital part of the deck in total to use, because then you have to rely on those cards and that additional monster as well for your summons. So if you have the wind-up Magician and the wind-up Shark in your play, it's definitely useful for your initial setup, because then you can summon out your wind-up Magician and then activate the Shark in hand to special summon this card onto the field. Then you can activate the wind-up Shark effect. So most of the time I do lower the level, making it a level 3. Wind-Up Magician will then activate, special summoning out your Wind-Up Rat to the field. Then you can go for the Link 2 play using your Magician and your Shark for that play, going into your Wind-Up Zen Maintenance. And then when you have the option of this card on the field, you can use each of the following effects of your Wind-Up Zen Maintenance once per turn. If this card's Link Summon, you can add 1 Wind-Up card from your deck to your hand. So with this card, you'll add Wind-Up Factory to your hand, activating the Factory, and then you have the 2 monsters in your graveyard. So then you can then special summon off of the Wind-Up Rat. So with this card in attack position, you change it to defense to then target a defense monster and special summon it to the field in defense. So then you'll summon out your Wind-Up Magician to the field as well. This will activate the Factory, so then you can add an additional Wind-Up monster from your deck to your hand. So then you can add your Wind-Up Shark as well off this play for your summon. And then from there, you have the resources for a Link 4 play off of the Wind-Up Zen Maintenance and the additional 2 monsters that you summon add on to the field as well. Or you could go for the 1 additional play as well for the play for you to go into with this card being able to banish a face-up wind-up monster you control face down to special summon 1 from the deck. So then you can only use each of the following effects of Zen Maintenance once per turn. So with this card, you have the Xyz material. So then you can banish the Wind-Up Rat, summoning 1 additional 1 to the play. This will also activate the Magician that you just summoned off of the other rat from beforehand onto the field because its effect's not negated, giving you another special summon, so you can summon out your Wind-Up Hunter. This will give you a tribute for the Magician again to then pop a card from your opponent's hand. You can then use the rat that you just special summoned off of the Zen Maintenance to rest it to special summon out another monster from your graveyard onto the field as well. You can then lower the level of the shark, giving you an overlay play to your wind-up monster of choice, being your Zenmaines most of the time for the protection there as well. Or when you summon out these Zenmaines, if you still have the shark you add off the factory, you could special summon the shark out onto the field and then use the shark's level effect to lower its level as well, giving you one more level 3 option for this card. Or you can use both of them to then go into the Link 2 IP Masquerena to summon onto the field to have this card set up and ready to go for your next turn, having the other resources in your hand since we only use 2 cards from this one combo, and then be able to go into cards like Nightmare Griffin for your summon, not Griffin, the unicorn, sorry, always get the name played off that, to take another card from your opponent after we even got rid of one thanks to the Wind-Up Hunter. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Always fun to go back and look at these older Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Will we see Zenmaines off the list? Not Zenmaines, Zenmaity, getting all the wind-up names mixed up. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.